For this first scramble, there are a couple solutions I looked at. They all involved this center edge, center pair. The first one I saw was this kind of weird line block. If you hold it like this and do U2 F2, and then you set up this edge to be inserted in the back, and then you can insert this corner. So rotate like this, and then DR is in a pretty good spot. But I didn't really like that because of the rotation. Next, there was a green-yellow. You can pair it up in the back, a half line with M2, and then the red-green pair is pretty easy to gen. But I didn't really like this solution because of what I found next. So what I ended up going with is orange yellow. If you do an R prime here, you set up the half line in the back, this half line in the back, and then when you solve the half line, this blue orange pair will be set up to solve like this. But what I also noticed is when you do the D to solve the half line in the back, the red, green, white pair forms, and then when you make the blue, orange pair, you can also insert DR. So I planned first block and second square like this. And then I didn't realize this edge would be solved. So I didn't cancel into this. What I could have done is R prime U and then set up into this pair. But I didn't do that in the solve. So instead I just took out the edge and then inserted with 2gen. And then this CML, I do it from this angle, and I know this edge is flipped, and then this edge and this edge will be swapped. So I assumed I would be getting an arrow, and I was right. And then there's nothing really good here for AOLR, so just pretty normal LSE.
So for this second OH solve, I only looked at one first block because it's quite obvious. The idea is that there's this pair, this one pair, and this edge is solved, and you can make a square in 3 moves by doing U2 wide R D, and that makes the square. But you don't just want to do that, because doing that will actually break this pair up. And so what you're going to do is during the U2, after the first U, you're going to do an R, and then wide R D, and that makes the square and keeps this pair. And then in inspection, I was just going to do R prime U F prime, but during the solve, I noticed that it made this block here, so I'm going to do wide R prime instead, U F prime, and that preserves this pair. And then for DR, it's in the back here, which is 3 moves. You just do wide R prime, U prime, R2, and then during the U prime R2, I noticed that this corner was just going to sit in the back here. So I just took note of that, and then insert this pair. But while I'm doing that, I'm also looking ahead to the SBLP case, and I know that the corner is going to be back here, and I see that the edge is here and it's oriented, so it's just going to be double back sexy. So insert the pair, and then here it's just double back sexy. But then instead of doing an R, I'm going to do a wide R to put the UD center on the UD face. And then I have this CML, which I recognize that it's a H case, and then that I have this vertical bar and this like vertical horizontal bar. So I put the vertical bar in the back. And then for this case, I know that it's going to flip these 2 edges, and these 2 edges are going to stay adjacent to each other, and these are the LR edges, so that's quite important. So I do the alg, I get EO, and then here to solve this case, first I want to make sure that the one that's either like the LR edge that's either matching or opposite to its corners, I want to insert that one second, because if I do it first, then this is going to take a lot more moves to than if I do it second, like I did in the solve by doing M2, because then it's 3 moves to not only solve it opposite to its other LR edge, but to also insert it into the top, like that. And then you just have this 4C case with the MU2M.
This scramble is not great at all, but I found something manageable. I did blue yellow, started like this, and D prime solved these, and then I had the second pair of first block. I flipped this corner and inserted it in the back, and I was done with the first block and the DRH. And then I solved these 2 pieces, then these 2 pieces. I had done the similar. Then I did LSE like this to skip 4C.
Alright, hello guys, this is France. Today I'm doing the 4th solve. So I see DL is here, pair is here, X pair is here, and DR is somewhere here. So what I'm gonna do is move this pair up, then solve DL and prepare this front pair to be solved. Then I solve this like C-FOP style, like that, and move that in the back. There's a better way you could do this, is just move this down, then move that down. It's basically the same solution, so whatever. Then as this DR is here, so I'll just do that. And I saw this pair first, so I'll just take it out. M prime to solve this in the back, then solve in the back. Then these 2 can be solved C-FOP style like this, and orientate the centers. And from here, I thought I got pure soon, so I did R, then I just undid that, and I did the same one, which is hedge U2 R U2 R prime. Then from here I did a U prime M2 U prime M prime U M prime. Then I think I did this. Then I did a U2 M2 U M2 U2 U2 M prime. Alright.
I got a 9.06 second solve on the last scramble. So on the scramble you can see that you have this, and you can solve this 2 by 1 square by doing RD2, and the remaining pair, this will come up here and this will be here. So the orange side here will face front and the orange side here will face top, meaning you can do U2 white R F prime to solve that. Now when you look at the DRH, this will just move by the R and the U2, so we'll end up here flipped. So that's all I saw. Well, you can also track this pair. Let's just go into the solve. R D2 U2 R white F prime, and then from here you can solve this by doing U prime R U prime, and this pair shows up here. So instead of doing just the R2, you can do R U prime R like that to solve this in the back, and then you're left with this case which you solve with U white R U white R prime U white R U prime, and then you want to keep yellow or white on top, so you just do a R prime. Next, recognize the CMLL case. How you can do that is, you know that this is an anti-Sewn case and these 2 are the same, these 2 are adjacent, so you have diag Sewn. So U prime, and you do the ALK, and you're left with this LSE case. So I know that ULR B, where you have the LR edges here, these two are misoriented, and this one is matched to its corners. So how you solve this is M, U prime, M, and then you have good arrow. And then it's just a 4C skip. I got a 6.48 on the first scramble. So on this, what I saw is you have this and this. However, these two aren't the same, and this edge is actually in a really bad spot, probably the worst one possible. So how you would solve this edge is by doing something like this. But that shouldn't just be done like that, because this is bad. So how you can do this is you can do a D, and then you can solve that. And what that will do is that will bring this yellow facing up over here. And once you have that, you can just do UR2D to solve that. This will be just move here and then here. So to solve it, you have to do a U prime R2. So let's just go into it. D, F, insert U prime R2D, U prime. And then solve this, and this gets paired up. So you can just solve that regularly. And you know that this is the green-red edge, so you do U prime. And then M2 and R prime at the same time, U wide R. And that solves F to B. Now the CMLL case, you can recognize that like these two, you can tell that these two are not going to be the same because of these two being the same. So you do the out. And then this EOLR case is you have these two misoriented, and how I did that is U and then M prime, U M, U prime, and then you have good arrow. And then you can recognize, because these two aren't the same, that this is the yellow edge, and because of that you do U prime, M2, U2 insert.
Yo.
Alright, so it's friends. I'm doing Walkthrough Wednesdays. And today I'm doing this 200 solve. I got 6.78, which is pretty cool. So what I did here was blue-white block. So because this was here, connected, blue and orange are connected to the center already. I saw this corner, which is a F prime, D prime away from being solved, and this was easy to connect to here, to F prime, U, or Y prime. So yeah, so first square would be F prime, U, R prime, D prime, and I'll look at my last pair. Oh, it's here. It will only move and R prime. So UY, F prime, U, R Y prime, D prime. It will just be here. So I'll do a U prime, RY, U prime, RY2 prime, and F prime. So let's just do that. So F prime, U, RY prime, U prime, D prime, RY, U prime, RY2 prime, F prime. So there you go. And I saw DR was solved here, so I just did that. And I decided to solve this back pair so I can influence this front pair. So how I did that was R, U2, R2 prime, U prime, R. Got this solved, and this is really nice. It's already a solved pair. So U, RY, U, RY, U, R prime. And yeah, at this point I was flipping around through the AOF because I recognized it was a pure soon and or pure anti-soon, and I was deciding whether to do a back soon or a lefty soon. And I don't know why, because I've never done lefty soon for this CML before. So I should have done this one, but my brain told me to do this one for some reason. So I just went along with that. Just don't do that in yourselves. This is a bad example of a CML because it will disrupt your, if you're using lefty M moves, it will disrupt your turning somewhat. So they're transition into LC. So and they both end up with this case, like the other one was like mirrored, like with the this edge being here, but it's fine. So I recognize this as a good arrow because, you know, this one's not the tip of the arrow, like it's not like this tip, you know, like where it's pointing to. And this edge is here, you can clearly see. So I just did an arrow. I just basically insert this into the back. Then U prime. I recognize this 4C case. It's a 4C skip actually. So I just did M to U prime. And yeah, that's my.
Okay, hi, I'm doing another solve. So the solve is a 7.20 and I did the blue-white FB. So the first thing you can see here is that you can make a square by doing dfd prime. This will remain here and this is here. So you can pair this up by u to r2b prime. So my full solution is dfd prime u to r2b prime. So this dfd prime will bring it here. R2b prime will bring it here, then here. So I'm going to have to solve it white R2, U prime, white R2. So dfd u to R2b prime, white R prime, U prime. Then I did R2. Then you have this, which is U to M2, U to R, U prime, R prime. And then I cancelled into solving this, which is R prime, U, R, U2. And then you solve this like a regular pair. Now I recognize this case, which is coincidentally the same one that I got just now. So this alg, and then I know that like I didn't see the blue edge, the blue yellow edge here, so I know that's in the back. And then I also know that the green edge just went here. So how I would solve this is M prime U, M prime, M prime U, MU, and then solve these two like this. U, M prime U, M prime 2, U to M2. Yeah.
Okay, this scramble's really straightforward. Red, yellow, we have two pairs, this pair here, this pair here. Can set up this pair to be solved with D prime with F prime, and then solve this pair with wide moves, and then DR is gonna do F prime and then F. So it's pretty easy to track, like this. And then second block is simple. We pair these up with M prime, and then this pair will be basically undisturbed. And then from here, I know EO doesn't change, so this is a good arrow. And then we can do EO LR, and then easy 4C.
Alright, so for this last scramble, I looked at two first blocks, both with the white-green edge, because the edge is solved, and then all the pairs for it are one move away. So there's U, there's M, and then there's also R, I guess. And the first block I looked at was U, M, and then F to B prime, but I didn't end up going with that, because the UM is like fine, but then the F to B prime you have to regrip up, which is not ergonomic. And so then I instead looked at this first block, where you actually hold the edge on the top, and instead of starting by inserting into this square, like one of the pairs into the square, you're actually going to make a pair with D, and then insert the center and the edge with U prime, S prime, and you can actually do that at the same time, so U prime, D at the same time, S prime, and then these two edges are, or this pair is like 2 moves away from solving. But if you just solve them normally, this is 5 moves away from being solved, the DR edge. So instead you can do a U, And then when you do RF, this is one move away from solving, and it's also really like quick because you just do RF R prime. And then I did this pair, which I actually saw in inspection, and you can solve it by doing M prime U M to make the pair, and then white R prime U prime white R to solve the pair. But while I was doing that, I noticed this edge is going to be in the back and the blue is going to be here. And that means it's this SBLP case where you put this in the front right, and then you do R U prime white R prime to make the pair, and then you insert it, ending with an R prime because you want the UD centers on the top. And then I can recognize this CMLL by seeing that it's an L case, and then these two are opposite and this one is adjacent. And so I do U2 and then I do triple soon, but I'm also going to figure out what my LSE is going to be, so the EOLR case. And for this specific CMLL, pretty much nothing changes. It's going to be the exact same when I do the ALG. So if I do the ALG, yep, exact same, and then just go straight into the EOLR. Then here, while I'm inserting, I see that these are matching, which means after I'm done, I have to do a U2. Then these two are the same. If you use DFDP, these two are the same. So then you have to make these the friend edges opposite, and then just insert for 4C.